All right. Don't you love when technology works the way you want it to? It's amazing. Okay, let's do it. So I titled this session, Curious, Strategic, People-Oriented, Meet Your Next Tech Role. And the reason why is because, like a lot of people, I thought for many, many years that in order for you to go into and be successful in technology as an industry, you had to be, in my mind, you had to be a designer or an engineer. That's it. Software engineer, graphic artist, or design were pretty much the only roles that I was aware of. And I just always thought because of it that tech was out of reach for me as an industry. However, in this role, you'll find throughout, my presentation, my hope is to share with you that if you're someone who is people-oriented, strategic, and curious, there is a really good role for you in tech. It's called solution engineering. Now, you do have to have interest in technology, of course, but it doesn't go as deep as like a software engineer would, or DevOps engineer, and insert the other engineering roles that exist here. Our role is to augment the amazing work that they do and put it in front of customers. So let's get moving here. So our conversation today, a quick intro. We'll talk a bit about solution engineering. I'll talk a bit about building your tribe and networking frameworks. Reason being is I'm sure, I can probably retire off of people paying me $1 for every time they've heard like, okay, Maya, how do I do this? You got to go network, build your brand. I'm sure you've heard it. If you want to send me $1 so I can retire, I will take it because I know I'm right. I want to give you a framework on how you can do this that may be beneficial to you, maybe a little bit different from what you've heard before. It is 100% what worked for me though. So this is not something I'm making up and it came out of the ether. It was what actually worked for me. I want to share that with you. And then we have some time at the very end for takeaways and Q&A. Does that sound good? Awesome. So first of all, I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Maya, and I am a solution engineer. I have what I like to call a very windy, windy path. I love adventure. I'm someone who loves being outside, but my career path is very non-traditional. I am a professional pivoter. I started off my career in the military right out of high school. I was a power equipment and generator mechanic. So I worked on cars, primarily in the the electrical components. And then once I left the military, I started working in hospitality. My work in hospitality spanned from front desk and concierge work to where I found my lane in sales. So when I go back and tell you that I don't hate sales, I don't hate sales. I understand them because I was them. So I went into hospitality sales, and then I became very curious about catering and events. The reason being is catering and events, for anyone who's not familiar with that world in hospitality, has a lot of moving parts. I mean, a lot of moving parts. And the margin for error is very low. And I was just driven by how close to right can I get it? That was my goal, is how close to right can I get it? What strategies and plans could I put into place to make sure that someone's event turns out well? And when you don't have the safety net of we'll just move you to another room. I mean, no offense to anyone that works rooms, but that was what drove me into really wanting to dive deep into the catering and events part. So that's what I did. I did that for about 10 years. And then I became a consultant. So I went and consulted back to hotels on how they can better align their resources and build more revenue and yada, yada, yada. And then I stumbled up on change management as a big challenge that a lot of the hotels that I was working with was facing. This was due to a change in the software that they were using, and that made me curious. And I'm naturally curious anyway, but I need to know about this. So I then became an expert in it, and I was helping people figure out how to use it. And that led me towards the path of becoming a software trainer. So for me, that was my entryway into technology, because the company that I was working for was a tech company. And my role was to train hospitality professionals on how to use this software that I taught myself how to use. And then from then I decided I'm going to combine the training that I love and know how to do, right, and write training and be able to deliver complex topics to people in a simplified manner, plus my customer service experience with hospitality and of course my military background. And I want to push this into something. And then, decided technology was going to be the thing that I really love to kind of focus on because it's endless. So I got some certifications and I studied and I learned, and then I became a solution engineer. So what I've done over the last, however many years my career has spanned, we don't need to count the number, is built the skills up, right? I pivot, but I don't ever leave anything behind. I don't consider my career path one of reinventing myself. I didn't reinvent myself. I just kept adding on to the skills that I have, and I kept pulling on the skills that I have. So every time I show up, my backpack looks different. The things in my backpack are different, but I leverage them to do the job that I'm going into. And I know that they're going to be successful because every job is a 360. There's not one way to do it. That's sort of the underlying theme for today's conversation is the skills that you have are valuable. You just have to figure out how to sharpen and point them to the thing that you want to do so you can build up maybe the gaps that you might have in those, in that role. So with that, let's talk about solution engineering. So we connect customers, sales, teams, and products. We are connectors. If you think of a hub and spoke, a lot of times we're in the center. Sometimes we're a spoke, but generally speaking, we're in the center. We create the center for ourselves. In order to be a good SE, in my opinion, you have to be thinky, teamy, and techie. Thinky in that you have to be curious. You got to be empathetic, customer focused, deep understanding of technical features, right? I don't know how to write the software, but I know how it works is how you kind of have to go into thinking about solution engineering. I know how it works. I know how it doesn't work. I know how to make it do what I need it to do. And I can communicate with a customer and understand what their needs are. One of the most important things that SEs do is ask questions. You have a piece of software that you need to present. I'm gonna kind of tell you a secret here. The answer is always this piece of software that you work for to the customer's problem. No matter what it is, the customer's gonna give you all their concerns, and you're gonna go, I know the answer. It's a thing that I have in my pocket here. But making sure that you can solidify a good why takes asking questions, right? Because I can tell you, oh man, this pair of shoes is amazing. It's got this, it's got that, it's got all these great things. But if you're not in the market for shoes, it's not going to make a difference, right? Or if you're someone who has whatever need. If it's a shoe that's made of suede and you live in Miami and it's going to be raining, more than half the year, it's not a good fit. Now, does that mean I can't sell you that shoe? I can. I have to figure out what about that shoe is going to make it a good fit for you. And that is where being curious and empathetic and just deeply, deeply curious and asking good questions is going to help you make that connection for the customer so you can ultimately sell. It is a sales role. We're just not the frontline salespeople. We're the engineering team behind it. We're making sure that we understand the tech enough, understand the customer enough to be able to bridge that gap. Most of the time, our salespeople in tech companies are amazing at sales and calling and making the appointments and doing all of those things. But when it comes to explaining the product and how it actually will work for an individual customer, you need us. The teamy part is you got to work with your salespeople, right? You're always in a team. SEs are always in a team. You're in a team of SEs, you're in a team of sales, and you have to bridge that gap between the teams sometimes because the sales team doesn't understand how the engineering team works or how the product team works. And we do. So we need to sort of tell them, oh, okay, yeah, we can't just say, yeah, we'll build that feature for you. It doesn't work that way. And sort of build the relationships as well as be able to help them understand where the strong lines are and how we can maneuver around things. And the techie part, of course, you have to be a rapid learner, be driven, be fluent in APIs, architecture, the software development lifecycle as a whole, right? I don't build it. I am not someone who's writing the code to build the software. I'm not DevOps. I'm not doing any of those things, but I understand how software is created. And that allows for me to have really good conversations with my customers. And when they have feature requests, I can speak to them with confidence around like what it would actually take to make something happen without committing to anything, right? Just saying, okay, in general, it may look like something like this. And I'm thinking about it as I'm presenting it. So understanding that is really, really good. And of course, data management tools, all tools that are out there. I can't say I've memorized all of them, but you have to be curious and know that you can dive in really quickly, ask really good questions and figure out what does this tool do and how could it help my customer potentially. So 3 pillars, right? You'll be thinky, teamy, and techie. So the essential skills that solution engineers have, like I mentioned, is curiosity. We're always asking why. Why do you need this? How is it going to change the way that you work? What do you do today? How does all of that? Because you're trying to figure out the why. If we think about sales, generally speaking, people always buy with emotion. We know that to be a fact, and that doesn't change in the tech space. I mean, just because you're, an executive or you're someone who's buying software doesn't mean you automatically forget like the way that humans tend to buy things, right? We're relational buyers, and that's just how we are as a people. So understanding what is the big pain that the customer is solving for, what is the big gain that they can have when they use this software. Asking those deep questions is going to get you to that why, which is again going to go to the very top of what I was saying. You're going to be able to say, this is a good fit for you specifically because of these things, right? A customer isn't always going to know what those things are. So our job is to ask. And then the other part is storytelling. You have to make the products relatable. So now that I know why this is a good fit for you as a customer, I have to be able to tell you the story of how this is going to make your life better, how this is going to help you achieve that goal, how this is going to help you mitigate these concerns, right? Is this going to keep you safe in an audit or whatever the concern or whatever the challenge or the goal the customer expressed? It's not a one-to-one because remember, they're buying something potentially they don't understand, right? They're buying something that they don't have a depth of knowledge in. You do. So you have to be able to relate it to them by saying, here's how this will work for you. So for those of you who are familiar with solution engineering, you know this is where the demo comes into place, right? Building a really good structured demo that allows for the customer to see themselves and using this product is how that storytelling comes through and makes the product relatable. I always like to say that when I deliver my demos, my goal is to always make a customer feel like they are in the passenger seat in my car, but we're driving through their neighborhood. You're driving me through your old neighborhood where you grew up. And if you imagine what that feels like, if you can picture that, and I'm driving the car, but you're in the passenger seat and you're pointing out to me the things that you used to do when you were growing up. And I'm saying, oh, well, did you know that this is the new thing that's here now? And they put a new thing in place here. And we're kind of collaborating alongside this. That's what my storytelling demos want. That's my goal. That's what I want them to feel like when customers are in a demo experience with me. Because stories are how we learn things, is how we relate to one another, is how we remember things. And so whenever possible, you want to make sure that it's really relatable and you're moving away from the jargon and really just speaking to what the customer's needs are, bringing in that empathy, right? Because you listen deeply, you can also say, I'm really sorry that you're experiencing this challenge. I'm going to do what I can to help you, right? And mean it, right? Really do want to solve their problem beyond just selling the technology. We know we're in a conversation to potentially sell something. That's why we're here. But can I make this feel like it's going to help you achieve something that you want? You're more than likely to buy that. So there's also that strategy behind that as well. Technical fluency, obviously you have to speak, as I speak APIs, because that's just the thing these days, but speak a little bit of API, speak a little bit of AI, right? Speak a little bit about, what your actual software is. If you're in software that is very developer focused, and you have to be able to speak the language of the customer. So that's why I say technical fluency is important as well. And then collaborating, you have to be that connector between the customer, the product, the sales team, the organization, when they have feature requests, when they have problems, or as I've come across in many occasions, I've had where the solution requires another piece of software. So it's like, ooh, the thing that you want holistically, I can meet you at like 70%, but I can make a recommendation for middleware or another piece of software that can actually help get you to closer to that 100. And then you present that entire solution back to them. That collaborator, that connector in the middle, that's I'm going to take on your challenge and I'm going to solve it for you. That's a huge part of the role as well. And wanting to do those things, I think, is the most important part. Because if you think about this, if you look at this list, there's but so many of these that someone can teach you, right? I cannot teach you to be curious. You are, you're not, right? Like, I can't teach you to really be like, but tell me more about it. I can teach you how to tell stories, sure. I can't teach you empathy, right? That's something that you have to be someone who is wanting and willing to do. Business acumen, I can teach you business things, but having that kind of strategic mind to say, ooh, if I have six of one, move the other, put that up together, this is going to do it, right? That comes with time, but wanting to do that, I can't teach you that. You can learn technical fluency, absolutely, and that's the part of the job that I would say is probably the most teachable part. And in collaborating, you can get coached and get guidance on collaborating, but you have to want to do it, and I can't teach you that. So if you look at this list of things that makes just the essential skills of an SE, from where I just went through, there's what, two that will require training and teaching. The rest, they're who you are. They're the skills that you've picked up throughout your career. They're the skills that you've picked up in your home, in your neighborhoods. I often tell people, growing up, I'm from Dominican Republic. I was raised in Miami, and I'm an only child. So when my parents, any piece of mail that came into the home, I had to read it. I had to translate it for them. I had to make sense of it. So oftentimes I browsed the dictionary to figure out what it is. I had to go learn how certain things worked so that I can translate the documents as well as give a perspective. And if we think about that, take that, and I know many of us have had that experience. It's part of being first generation, or even just in a multi-generational household, comes with that experience, or we've witnessed it, right? We've been a part of it. If you take that experience, that is solution engineering. The only difference that I had to learn was the tech part. And that's written down, guys. that's already written down. So understanding that a lot of these skills, for a lot of you, you already have it. It's just a matter of tweaking them a little bit, pointing them, making them a little bit sharper, and then adding on the things that you need, like technical fluency, that could really help you thrive in this type of role. So how do you do it? Okay, how do you do it? I get this all the time, so I'm going to give you the framework that has worked for me. How many times, and you can toss it in chat, have you ever heard someone be like, "You've got to network," right? Or like, just go to networking events. Oh, one of my favorite ones is message people on LinkedIn. Just like send them a bunch, make a bunch of connections, send them a bunch of messages, right? I'm not going to say that doesn't work. I will say that doesn't work for me. I'm someone who prefers one-on-one conversations. I mean, I love this kind of setup as well because I feel like I'm talking with you, even though there's a number of you. But I prefer one-on-one conversations. I like having quality conversations. I'm not someone who's going to go into a room for a networking event and shake every hand there. That is not a goal for me, and it doesn't feel good. It's just not who I am. If it's a room where that's what everyone is doing and no one's like having a conversation, I'm probably going to leave, to be honest. That doesn't work for me. So this framework, I had to kind of come up with it on my own, and it has been really successful. It's how I'm here today, right? My approach is authentic. I am 100% myself. I don't fake it. I don't put on a coat of an extrovert. I am not an extrovert. I am an introvert. I am a thinker. So I don't pretend to be that. I am a thinker. And so I approach the conversations with the same intent that I would approach it if I was talking to one of my friends. I don't sit in surface level conversations. That doesn't feel good to me, so I don't do it. I focus on quality conversations. So if that means I go to a networking event and I meet two people, that's great. I know their names. I know who they are. I know what they care about. I can have a follow-up with them, right? Because we've had a connection. That means more to me than I walked out of there with 50 business cards. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. It just doesn't work for me. And then the last part is always have an ask. If you're going to reach out to someone on LinkedIn, whether it's a follow-up from a conversation or even a brand new person you're just connecting with, maybe you admire something about them, maybe you're using one of these strategies that people have shared about how you can build connections on LinkedIn, always have an ask. People want to help you. They really do. Trust me, I didn't think they did either, but they do. They actually want to help you. But you have to have an ask for them. What do you want? What do you need? Right? Make it something that they can do for you, whether it's you need a connection. I want to have a conversation with you specifically about this. I have an interest in this thing that you spoke about in whatever article that you posted, or, hey, I saw that you worked in this place and I have a question about this in particular. That will get you more answers than I just want to connect because I think you're great. Like, there's nothing wrong with that, but it will not get you more connections and more deep connections than a specific ask. And when you don't have an ask, have an offer, right? Hey, I saw that you're trying to, push this initiative forward. I have some thoughts on that. I come from this industry and I see that you're trying to blah, 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 blah. And this, I want to give you my perspective. Have an offer that allows for you to have a genuine conversation. So give this a shot. I'm telling you, it's worked for me. I hope it works for you. But I hope my goal with this in particular was to demystify networking just a little bit, because I feel like oftentimes the message is very extrovert focused, and that doesn't work for everyone. So wrapping thoughts, here are your takeaways. You don't need to come from a coding expertise to be in technology. As I shared with you, solution engineers typically are not super deep in code. Your lived experiences are your differentiator. Do not forget to tell your own story. People care. It does matter. And network authentically to find opportunities and to learn. Sometimes those networking opportunities, someone's going to tell you, hey, you need to do this work. Go do it. And then go back and tell them that you did it. And then use that as the conversation so you can build that mentorship relationship and things moving forward that you can then kind of build up for yourself over time. So the networking authentically is going to give you gold, right? You're going to find opportunities, roles potentially, but you're also going to learn what you need to learn for whatever it is that you're looking to achieve. Just remember, you need to always have an ask. Ask them for something. And when you don't have an ask, or even along with your ask, offer, right? If there's something that you feel that could be valuable to them, offer it. I'm sure they'll be willing to listen. So with that, we're just about time. So thank you. I've got my LinkedIn here on the QR code. Feel free to connect with me. I hope you connect with each other, right? Take stock of your skills, right? The skills that I talked about earlier, being curious, being empathetic, those are all superpowers. Take stock of what those are and what impact they have, and think about how can I position those into my next role. Right? I often tell people that the best developers and the best system admins, right? It's not because they know the code really well. It's because they're curious and they're people who have these other skills that make them just above everything else. Think about that as you think about where you're going to move into your next career, and then find your tribe. Use this platform. Use me if there's something that I can help you with. If you've got an ask for me, go on LinkedIn and make the ask. I always answer. It's one of my favorite things to do is help other people demystify technology as a role, or as an industry rather, and find their ways into the industry and then through the industry as well. So yes, Jenny, I will connect with you. Hopefully this doesn't go away because I'm going to make sure to connect with anyone who's shared their LinkedIn on here. But if not, for sure, please connect with me, and I'll absolutely accept it. And we can definitely keep chatting. The question I was asked earlier about red flags. So the red flags, I know we're at time, so you need to jump. The red flags conversation, I would say this is strictly and directly aligned with your values. You have to know what your values are, and the red flags will show themselves. So if you know that you're someone who, like myself, I value integrity. I'm someone who values doing the right thing. The questions that I ask are always going to be pointed towards those values. We can start the conversation with the company values are these. How do you do them? And if that person just doesn't have an answer, or their answer makes me feel like cringe, these doesn't align with my values, that becomes a red flag to me. That's where I would say dig a little bit deeper, or maybe that's the point where you step away. Other than that, we know what we're talking about, interviews and job postings and websites and all that. We can post whatever we want. But when you have the conversation with someone, if you know who you are, how you best work, what your values are, what you stand for, you ask pointed questions about those. And my stance is you don't have to perfectly align with me, but you need to have a stance as well. And then we can decide if there's a negotiable middle for us. Otherwise, it's a red flag. And I would normally say proceed with caution or don't proceed at all. Love to keep talking about that if you want to send me a message. I got a lot of thoughts on that. So yeah, I'll connect with you all on LinkedIn for the ones that shared their LinkedIn here, but please do connect with me as well. I'm going to be accepting them. I know that I know that usually after this conference, I get a few people reaching out, so I'm more than happy to respond. If you have any other questions, I've got a little time. I can stick around. Otherwise, thank you all so much for attending. And if you have anything else for me, let me know. Oh, someone asked if a solution art engineer is the same as solution architect. Not really. As solution architects are more technical. They're the easy button for the solution engineers. They're the ones that help us when there's a question that is far more technical, even going into like so I don't think of an example. So like if you've got a customer that has a situation where your software, maybe there is a complicated tech stack, or the customer has a proprietary tech stack that they've built themselves that is their own code, and we need to figure out, can we connect to it, can we extract from it, etc. A solution architect will usually come in and be able to help with that because they're more technical, they're more in the actual code world than we are, but they usually work alongside solution engineering teams to help bring that additional oomph of technology into the fold. I hope that answered that question. I think that was the only question that I had, right? What other hybrid roles do you find in a profile of a person who's technical but also has strong soft skills? Well, other than sales, program management, I would say, is another one that I've seen that doesn't require technical skills much, depending on where you are, but not a lot of them. So I would say program management might be one. Dealing maybe more with the people side. We all already know like marketing, obviously, and things like that. But yeah, I think if you're someone who's got, soft skills, have an interest in technology, but not a doesn't want to go really, really deep into it, sales, solution engineering, program management would be a good one as well. Maybe even consulting. Depending on where you are, a lot of consultants, they kind of function like solution engineers, in that they kind of bring the customer to the line, but they don't actually do the technology work and take them across. That one would be very company dependent, but I would definitely look into it. Cool. Well, thanks everyone. I think I've answered all your questions. Please do feel free to send me a message if you've got anything else. It's been a pleasure. And I hope you all enjoy the rest of the conference. Take care.